Salam alaikum. I'm Saiful Islam, your host for halalradio 1, broadcasting live from Sheffield to the UK and the rest of the world. This is the 7 o'clock slot, coming to you tonight and every night throughout the month of Ramadan. Please join us and listen to the stories of men around the Messenger. We carry on tonight with Abdallah ibn Rawaahah. It's just a short story tonight. Before we start, please join me in this small prayer. Ya Allah, we depend on you. We have no power of our own. When things are going well for us, we know they have come from you, and we have no power of our own. In our trials, we rely on you. In our temptation, we trust in you. Our success is in your hands, and so is our lives. We have no power of our own. Ya Jabir, Ya Kareem, we cannot do without you. Save us from all evil and guide us going out and coming in, now and forevermore. Ameen. Abdallah ibn Rawaahah. O my soul, death is inevitable, so it is better for you to be martyred. When the Prophet, peace be upon him, met secretly with Al-Madina's delegation on the outskirts of Mecca, away from the disbelievers of the Quraysh, 12 representatives of the Ansar took an oath of allegiance in the first pledge of Aqaba. Abdallah ibn Rawaahah was one of those representatives who was ushered Islam to Al-Madinah and who paved the way for the Hijrah, which was considered an excellent springboard for Allah's religion, Islam. Abdallah was also one of the 73 of the Ansar who gave the Prophet, peace be upon him, the second pledge at Aqaba in the following year, after the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions emigrated and settled in Al-Madinah. Abdallah ibn Rawaahah was the most active Muslim of the Ansar who strived to support the thriving religion. He was also the most alert Muslim to the plots of Abdallah ibn Ubayy, whom the people of Al-Madinah were about to crown king before the Muslims arrived. He never got over the bitterness he felt for losing his chance of his lifetime to become king. Therefore, he used his craftiness to weave deceitful plots against Islam, while Abdallah ibn Rawaahah kept on tracing and detecting this craftiness with remarkable insight that frustrated most of Ibn Umayyah's maneuvers and plots. Ibn Rawaahah, may Allah be pleased with him, was a scribe at the time, in which writing was not prevalent. He was a poet. His poetry flowed with admirable fluency and strength. Ever since his Islam, he devoted his poetic genius to its service. The Prophet, peace be upon him, always admired his poetry, asked him to recite more of it. One day, as he was sitting among his companions, Abdallah ibn Rawaahah joined him. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, asked him, "How do you compose a poem?" Abdallah answered, "First I think of its subject, then I recite." He immediately recited, "O the good descendants of Al-Hashim, Allah raised you to a high station, of which you are worthy above all mankind. My intuition made me realize at once your excelling nature, contrary to the disbelievers' belief in you. If you ask something of them for your support and help, they would turn you down. May Allah establish the good that descends on you firmly and bestow victory upon you as he did to Musa." The Prophet, peace be upon him, was elated and said, "I hope that Allah will make your feet firm too." When the Prophet was circumambulating the Kaaba in the compensatory Umrah, Ibn Rawaahah recited to him, "Were it not for Allah, we would not have been guided to the right path, nor charitable, nor able to perform our prayers. So descend peace of mind and reassurance on us, and establish our feet firmly when we meet our enemy in combat. If our oppressors try to spread affliction and trial unrest among us, we will not give them away." Muslim reiterated his graceful lines. The active poet was saddened when the glorious verse descended, saying, "And for the poets, only the Aryan people follow them." Quran 26:2-4. But soon he was contented to hear another verse saying, "Except those who believe and so do deeds of righteousness and remember God frequently and defend themselves after being oppressed." 26:2-7. When Islam rose up in arms in self-defense, Ibn Rawaahah saw service in all battles: Badr, Uhud, Al-Khandaq, Al-Hudaybiyah, and Kabir. His perpetual slogan was those lines of poetry: "O my soul, death is inevitable, so it is better for you to be martyred." He shouted at the disbelievers in every battle of Mu'tastad, He shouted at the disbelievers in every battle, "O disbelievers, get out of my way. My prophet, peace be upon him, has all the excellent qualities." The battle of Mu'tah started, and as we have mentioned, he was the third of the commanders after Sa'id. And Ja'far ibn Rawaahah, may Allah be pleased with him, stood there as the armies was about to leave Al-Madinah and recited, "I truly ask the most beneficent forgiveness, and a mortal stroke of a sword that will strike me down, forming of a mortal stab with a spear by my stubborn disbeliever, that will make my liver and intestine show out of my body, so that when people pass my grave, they will say, by Allah, you are the most righteous warrior." Indeed, a stroke or a stab that would convey him into the world of reward. Martyrs was his utmost wish. The army marched towards Mu'tah. When the Muslims saw their enemies, they estimated them at 200,000, for they saw endless waves of warriors. The Muslims glanced back at this small group and were stunned. Some of them suggested, "Let us send a message to the Prophet, peace be upon him, to tell him of the enormity of the enemy that surpassed all our expectations. So he will either order us to wait for reinforcements or to pierce through the enemy lines." However, Ibn Rawaahah stood amidst the lines of the army and said, "O my people, by Allah, we do not fight our enemies with numbers, strength or equipment, but rather with the religion which Allah has honoured us with. So go right ahead. It is either one of two equally good options, victory or martyrdom." The Muslims, who were lesser in number and greater in faith, cried out, "By Allah, you spoke the truth." The small army broke through the mighty host of 200,000 warriors in the terrible and cruel fighting. As we have mentioned, both armies met in fierce combat. The first commander, Zayd ibn Haritha, was struck down, he winning glorious martyrdom. The second in command was Ja'far ibn Talib, who was overjoyed to be martyred. Abdallah took over the command and grabbed the standard from Ja'far, falling up at arms. The fight reached the peak of ferocity. The smaller army was indistinct amidst the waves of the mighty host of Hercules. When Ibn Rawaahah was a soldier, he attacked heedlessly and confidently, but now he, the command, placed great responsibility for the army's safety on his shoulders. It seemed that for a moment he was overtaken by hesitation and dread, yet he instantly shook off those apprehensions, summoned his innate fearlessness and cried out, "O my soul, you look as if you were afraid to cross the way that leads to paradise. O my soul, I took an oath to fight. O my soul, death is inevitable. So you had better be martyred. Now I will experience the inevitability of death. What you have cared for so long is finally yours, so go ahead, for if you follow these two heroes, you will be guided to the way of paradise." He meant the two heroes who had preceded him in martyrdom, Zayd and Ja'far. He darted into the Roman armies fiercely, ruthlessly. Were it not for the previous ordainment from Allah that he was to be martyred on that day, he would have alienated the fighting host. But destiny called and he was martyred. His body was struck, yet his pure, valiant spirit was raised to the heavens. His most precious wish finally came true, so that when people pass by my grave, they will say, by Allah, you are the most righteous warrior. The fierce attack in Al-Baq in Syria went on. Back in Al-Madinah, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was talking peacefully and contentedly with his companions. When he suddenly stopped talking, he closed his eyes a little, then opened them. A gleam flashed from them, yet it was tinged with sadness and compassion. He looked around sadly and said, Zayd took the standard and fought until he was martyred. He was silent for a while, then continued. Ja'far grasped it and fought until he was martyred. Then Abdallah ibn Rawaahah grasped it and fought until he was martyred. He was silent for a while, then his eyes sparkled with elation, tranquility, longing and joy as he said, they were all raised to paradise. What a glorious journey it must have been. What a happy succession. They are all marched to conquer. They all were raised to paradise. The best salute to immortalize their memory rests in the Prophet's words. They were raised up to await me in paradise. Allahu Akbar. May Allah bless them. Please keep joining us at Halal Radio 1, where we will continue the story of these magnificent men and what they achieved over the next few weeks. If you do have any questions, please email us. Until tomorrow, salam alaikum.